This is a patron requested video. Shout out to Glenn for suggesting this video idea. If you want to find out how you can suggest videos for this channel, link is in my description for my Patreon, and you can see what other perks you can get also. No pressure, obviously, but it's there if you were maybe interested. Hey there, creepy peeps. My name is Nightmare Maven and welcome back to my channel. So I thought about how I wanted to go about doing this video idea. I could go with my favorites in the sense that I like the villains personally. I think they're entertaining. Or I could go with like my favorites in the sense that I think they're better than the protagonists. Or I could go with what I'm going to do the video based on, which is the scariest villains to me, like the ones that I for sure would not win against. As much as I love the horror genre, I am definitely a wuss about certain things, and I definitely don't pretend like I could survive most horror movies. I feel like for me to survive a horror movie scenario, there would have to be very specific circumstances in place in which I might have a chance of surviving. But there are quite a few horror movies that have villains that are so scary that I know that I have zero chance in hell of beating. These are in no particular order, with the exception of the very last one. First is the Predator. I think this one goes without saying because their whole deal is being the apex predator in literally any environment. I mean, I'm pretty aware of my surroundings most of the time, but there's no way I would see the Predator coming at all. Like, they wouldn't even break a sweat killing me. And I feel like the Predator is so scary because it kind of represents reality a little bit. In reality, at least it's my belief in reality, that humans are not the apex predator. I know, like, technically speaking, we are the apex predator, but I feel like we're just the most abundant and widespread species. I feel like we behave more like an invasive species than anything else. So something else coming along and putting us in our place is super scary, and I think that's what makes the Predator so scary. And also, look at this thing's face. Like, they're fucking terrifying, and for what? They have all this like technology. Like, why do they need to be so scary looking also? Next is the Thing from The Thing. I also feel like this one goes without saying because it can look like anybody or any living thing. The human race is already scary, honestly. Like, I don't trust most people anyway, and then add in the fact that it may not even be human. It may have been taken over by something. I'd be one of those people that definitely would be driven crazy with paranoia that I'm already taken over by the alien and I don't even realize it. Like, this thing wouldn't even need to take over my body. Like, I would drive myself nuts just imagining it. I feel like that's the Thing's greatest weapon, is it causes distrust and paranoia, and I'm clearly a prime subject for this. Plus, on top of being able to like take the form of like living organisms and look human or like a dog, you know, like in the beginning of the movie, it can also just like change its shape into like anything, literally any terrifying thing. And that's also super scary. Okay, so maybe I'm gonna get made fun of for this one, but the next one on my list is the Entity from It Follows. I'm just gonna call it the Entity. I feel like the internet's kind of divided on whether this thing is actually scary or not, but I'm pretty susceptible to anything that's gonna wear me down psychologically, and this thing would definitely do that. Because the whole thing is like, even if you do pass it on successfully, you're still living in fear. Like, how far has it gotten passed down? Did somebody fail and it's coming back down the line, at which point you're still on the target list somewhere? So even if you do pass it on, you're still looking over your shoulder for the rest of your life. You really wouldn't even be able to rest properly. And this thing can look like anybody and blend in, so depending on your surroundings too, you may not even know that something is coming for you until it's too late. So I fall firmly in the yes, this is scary camp. And one villain I've always said that I would never be able to beat is Freddy. He definitely is in a similar vein to the Thing from It Follows, because they'll both wear me down psychologically. And with Freddy, that's his whole thing. He wants to scare you and wear you down to the point where you just give in, like you can't keep your eyes open anymore. And that would be the worst, to get to the point where I'm terrified to go to sleep, but I can't stay awake anymore. And I'm definitely one of those people that needs my sleep, and I'm very cranky if I even lose 1 hour of sleep. So I would be ready to give in after one nightmare. I'm like, yeah, I can't do this. Just goes to show, even though Freddy is one of the funnier and just more fun horror villains, I feel like most people love Freddy, he's still one of the scariest when you think about it. I am gonna throw in an honorable mention here for Men from Men, because it's men and men are scary. Perhaps more terrifying than anything I've mentioned on this list thus far. Maybe with the exception of this last thing, and this is in the #1 spot, even though nothing else was ranked. Nat, the #1 horror villain, I would argue ever, is Death from, I'm speaking mostly about Final Destination here, but I guess technically from any horror movie ever. And also, you know, like Living. And maybe this one's a cop-out, but it's true. Death comes for us all eventually. And people die in freak accidents all the time without having cheated death earlier. So you could die in a violent, painful way at any moment in time. And that's what makes Death the scariest, and therefore the best horror villain. I challenge you guys to try and find a scarier horror villain than Death, and you can let me know in the comments. Once again, thank you to Glenn for suggesting this video idea. Again, if you want to find out how you can do that on my Patreon, the link is in the description. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, give it a thumbs up. Subscribe if you're new here. Become a Creepy Peep today. And I'll see you very soon with a new video. Until then, stay strange. Bye!